Good day, Chatteroo. How are we all doing? Welcome back after our 2-week season break. I hope we're all doing fantastic and Happy New Year. And I hope everyone's Christmas was absolutely fantastic. We are back for round number 11 here at the Bahrain circuit this evening with, as usual, a short qualifying distance and then 29 laps around the lovely, gorgeous Bahrain International Circuit. But yes, chat, how are we all doing? Welcome back. And I must say, I'm excited to be here for Tier 1 once again. So I guess let's hop into it and let's see what on earth could happen on circuit this evening. It could be a lot of fun, or not so much if there's like a spin or two, or a dive into turn 1, which is more than less doable at the circuit. But when 3 to 4 cars try and go into turn 1, that's where the potential scariness could happen. But looking forward to the, I believe, standings for Tier 1, you still got the Mercedes running away in P1 with 288 points, but P2 is only on 215, so maybe, just maybe, the chase could be on from Mano to try and snatch away P1, but time will tell. And with only, what, 5 rounds to go until the end of the season, could be a bit of a bigger push than expected. And then you've got lovely Rusted Bolt on 195 points, not far away from P2, and Pooch as well, having an incredible season in P4, not far away from P3. Hazer not far from P4, sitting in P5, and then Merc and the Ferrari not far away from P6. Or should I say, not far from P5, sitting in P6. But we turn our eyes and our attention to the main event for this evening. Let me find the screen we need. There we go. That's what we need. We're here at Bahrain under the lovely, gorgeous floodlights with 17 wonderful minutes of qualifying to go. And we're basically going to play the waiting game to see which driver is going to react and basically make their way on pit exit. So let's get the useful things we need on here. We don't really need tyres, but there you go. Everybody on the soft compounded tyre. Very handy there, Flynn. Must say so myself. No problem, Pooch. While there's no one out on the circuit yet, I guess I could quickly, there we go, add you as a friend. So any issues, I'll try and get you back in the lobby, buddy, when there's not too much racing action happening on circuit. And I'm seeing movement in the garages right in front of me. We've got Mercedes making their way out to the pit exit right now. And then we have a Red Bull slowly but surely making their way to the pit exit. Which Mercedes, though, is making their way out on circuit? It's not Mr. P. It's going to be Math out on circuit right now. We can see down to turn 1. Wouldn't really say a wide berth, but hitting the apex is there. Absolutely lovely, shall we say. But, of course, on a outlap, so not trying to put those tyres to full push pressure just yet, because you don't want to be graining those softs, especially on your outlap. You want to be getting them into the optimal temperature range, as they call it here. And, yeah, just get ready to absolutely demolish the battery and demolish those tyres to try and set the fastest lap around Bahrain. And I'm going to be honest, this is one of my least favourite circuits within the F1 series or world, whatever you want to call it, as it's just number 9 towards 10, that very tricky hairpin. It's just quite hard trying to get it perfectly on the brakes, because when I do it, I'm somehow locking the fronts and then locking the rears. So yeah, not the best of things when it comes to Bahrain for myself, but hopefully these drivers have a bit of a better excitement and a better evening, but the track is very much ramping up, we could say. So track temperature could be a big play here. Get the rubber going in, time will tell. But let's see what the Mercedes does here, because if you go to the right hand side, as they do, you somehow find a little bit more lap time as it's less bumpy there. So you see a little bit of a bump of a dip there, and that's how you gain a little bit more lap time, because if you go all the way to the left, you're going to hit that bump. So if you want to know how to get faster at Bahrain, that's what you got to do to find about 2 to 3 tenths down to turn 1. But making their way through at turn 3 down to turn 4, late on the brakes as they possibly can be, trying not to exceed track limits, right on the white line there, but does have a bit of a snap, and they might have put that lap under a little bit of pressure, because that does mean that wouldn't have been their best sector 1, and someone may be able to beat it. So not a good start for Math here, but now down in sector 2, heading towards turn number 10, the very tricky hairpin here at Bahrain. And actually doing that perfectly there, I could get a nice slip in toe from the McLaren driver in front. Making their way down to turn 11, DRS does now close, and hitting the apexes nicely there. This corner is flat out, as you can see, no lift there, but into this very tricky braking zone of turn number 13 towards 14. Unfortunately, the Mercedes does crawling over that white line just a little bit too much, and does unfortunately invalidate their lap time. They will cross the line to finish their lap, which is actually a good thing to do, and it would have been a 27.499 if that was valid, and that would have been a very good lap time there for Math. Mr. P about to cross the line now. What kind of benchmark time can they set? It's a 28.172. So Math, with that crucial, unfortunate invalidation, does mean he could have been on pole, but with that invalidation, it kind of shoots him in the foot with Nando crossing the line. It's a 1 minute 28.761. We've got more drivers making their way down to the final couple of corners, and it is going to be Pesh in that Williams, pushing it to track limits as much as he possibly can, crossing the line, and it's P1 with a 127.274. McLaren up to cross the line now. They go P3 at 1 minute 28.681. Both Ferraris crossing line, and Mr. Bird going P2 at 1 minute 27.830, and his teammate Merck down in P4 at 1 minute 28.495. So qualifying pace at the moment looking a little bit different. Most of these drivers in the 1 minute 28s, only 2 in the 27s, but you could say Math would have been in the equation of a 27, but unfortunately didn't validate around about entering sector 3 to turn 13, and Ruster Bolt there P7 and 1 minute 28.555, getting out of the way there for the Aston Martin, who has actually started a flying lap, and I believe that would have been Jar Jar Bing. Indeed it was Jar Jar Bing, making their way down to turns number 4, getting that DRS nice and closed, heading over to the right hand side as much as they possibly can. This S section in Bahrain can be a little bit tricky as well, but sector 1 nice and purple, and could be the fastest sector of all times on track. But don't get your hopes up high, because that could be the game just lying to us and giving us very much false hope. Anyways then, DRS wide open for the Aston Martin once again down to turn number 11, closes once again and throws the car into left-hander, and then it just sweep out to a right-hander, completely, like I said, flat out here, as we see the Aston Martin with no major slippy slidey moments, throwing the car into turn 13, not invalidating like the Mercedes did, still down in P10, P11 now, sorry, in the pit lane. So not a great start for Math. They'll have to get out on track very, very shortly to get a benchmark on the board and on the time. But there you go. See, the game completely lying to us there. Jar Jar Bing a 1 minute 29.946. So not as competitive as I thought it would be. So Jar Jar Bing has got to find a little bit more pace if they want to succeed into the top 10. But let's go on board with our man himself in the house, TP of all. It's Mr. Declan, down in P14 on a provisional outlap at this moment of time. I would say we'll come back to him, but I don't think anybody else is on a lap at the moment. So we could be okay. I would switch, but never mind. As Declan's now starting lap, we're going to stay on board with the man himself. Moving over to the right-hand side, as you can see, it's going to be a bit of a dip in the track. You can see it right there as the Haas bounces over it. Down to turn number 1, 2, and 3. Late on the brakes as they possibly can. Missing the apex a little bit, but hitting that one to his expertise. Very nice run out there as the bird, a 1 minute 27.106. Fastest of all right now. Not looking too bad for Declan so far. Very nice and smooth. A very competitive sector 1 time. Not purple, but a 28 point whatever it was. I think it was a 350. Is a very substantial, good first sector 1 as his teammate Pace is up in P5 on a 1 minute 28.273. Out to turn 10 towards turn 11. The DRS wide open for the Haas, flying there and then throwing the car, as we say, into the left hand side and then throwing the car into the right hand side. Foot, like I said, flat to the floor. No need to lift, especially. But for this corner especially, you need to lift just a little bit and then head your way down to turn 14 and then out of 15 towards the start and finish straight. Going purple in sector 2 there. But like I said, once again, that could be the game lying to us because we know how the game has been this year. Not the best as it would have been, but it's going to be a 27.693. Puts him comfortably ahead of his teammate in P3 just for now. Right then, surely the bird is going to be peeling into the pit lane. What about the Ferrari? Down in P8, they're on a outlap. Is Nando on a quick lap? He is indeed on a quick lap. He's up in sector 1 by a 1/10 of a second. What about the sector 2? What's that going to be? So make the way down to turn number 10. Not looking too bad there. Most drivers, I would think, would be locking up. But so far on board with half of the drivers, they're doing pretty well in turn 10. So doing much better than I could at Bahrain at this moment of time. But when they've got practice involved and all that kind of stuff, then it can help big time. Especially having the right brake bias for that hairpin section. Setup customization as well. Yeah, absolutely crazy. So, Nando making their way through turns 14 and then 15. They're going to cross the line, hopefully with no improvement actually. They're going to bail into the pit lane, staying at P number 10. Let's see who else we got on board with. Got aboard a Merc. 61 thousandths of a second down on their time this moment. But heading to turn 13, they are not up by much whatsoever. So hopefully they'll find a lot more time when they make their way down to turns 14 and 15 with 7 minutes of qualifying action to go here at Bahrain before the big race itself after our official 5-minute break. They're going to cross the line, hopefully with an improvement. They don't improve. They stay P8 by 27 thousandths of a second. That's absolutely insane. But let's go on board with our championship leader, the Mercedes, down in P14 at the moment, going purple very nicely. In sector 2, are they going to topple the timing sheets and knock the bird down to P2 and they'll go up to P1? Only time will tell as they make their way out of 14 and 15. You can see throwing the car in and going to be burning that battery, neutralizing all the straight line speed. DRS open, and they only go P2. Never mind. So the Mercedes with a challenge, it seems, this evening. Things could get spicy as Pesh is on a lap now. Out of turn number 13, they're currently down on their time, so we could either see them cross the line or bail back into that pit lane. So Let's see what happens here. Are they going into the pits or are they completing the lap? They are going to complete the lap. Are they up by much? No, they're not. They're down as well. So drivers starting to struggle and not finding as much time as they would like to. So, you know, very, very interesting. Let's go on board with the man himself. It's Viking Fox in P12 racing with RB this evening. Down to turn 1. Very deep and missing the apex completely there, but hitting the apexes of turns 2 and 3. Making their way down to turn 4 with the DRS wide open. Currently, they've done a 1 minute 28.775. Hopefully, if they find a bit more time on circuit, they find a 10th. So, they've found quite a bit of time in Sector 1, but they've just got to keep it together for the remaining lap in Sector 2, as that's where you're going to find your most time, because Sector 2 at Bahrain is going to really be your most technical part of the circuit, because turn number 1, 2 and 3 in Sector 1 is quite simple and quite easy. There's not many corners to really mess up there, but yeah, like I say, Sector 2 is where you're going to really find all the lap time you really need. So it's going to be interesting what kind of wing levels these guys are running this evening. And now they're 200ths of a second up. So they found a 10th in Sector 1, a 10th in Sector 2. But they find another 10th in Sector 3. That'll then be a 3/10th improvement to maybe shoot themselves up into P10. Let's see what happens here. It's going to be P10, exactly on the dot, 3/10ths up, and it's a 28.384. I'm going to say it right now, chat, my maths, not being completely on point, but 3/10ths up on their time, I'll take that, you know, I will take that. Right then, let's go on board the man himself as well, down in P16, about to get a lap set on the board. It's Mr. Viva himself, commentates tier number 2 and quite a lot of the other tiers like the Friday tier and of course the Saturday tier. Oh no, do they? No, they don't commentate the Saturday tier, but they commentate the Friday tier, the 100% tier here at UFRL. Totally didn't forget the name. I'm gonna let myself off. It's been a while, chat. Okay, it's been a while since I've done some commentating, so I may have forgot. You know, Christmas hit, and that was like, damn. Box standard, brain shut down, and enjoy Christmas this year. And Viva, damn, 6 cents down on their lap time, so maybe. Oh, never mind. They crossed the line, so they're going to be bailing into the pit lane, and they maybe be starting P16 because they are quite far off the pace. So quite surprising for Viva. Normally quite competitive in qualifying, not as competitive, but still to a bog standard rate. But somebody has retired in the pit lane, and it is going to be the Mercedes math, which is very, very interesting. They have retired, so they're going to hope that they are safe for P number 2, but only time will tell, as Declan, they are up on their time, but it's not enough to contend for the top 3 just yet. Depends what their Sector 2 is going to be like, if they found enough lap time. And I should probably shut up now, because they have found 4/10ths in Sector 2. So all it takes is Sector 3 down to turn 14. This could be pole position, potentially. Don't get your hopes up high just yet, but it could be pole as they fly to that line right now. What's the time? He's on top. It's a 27.035 with 1 minute and around about 50 seconds of qualifying to go. Drivers now peeling and making their way up exit. Declan, if he's played to perfection with how much time they've got on the board, could be on chance for a pole position here at Bahrain as we come back from our 2-week break after Christmas and the New Year. So this could be big things for Declan, but did he leave it too late? Did he leave it too late? That's the big question we would all like to know. Is he playing it smart? Is it tactics here at Haas? Or you know, what's going to happen? You know, traffic is going to be a thing for some of these drivers, you know, weaving, trying to get those tires into operational range. But look how busy the track is right now. We're going to have to try our best to keep on board with some of these drivers here. Some of them are going to be crossing the line to complete their lap times, like Alonso, also nicknamed Nando, making their way through the tricky sections of traffic. It's all going to be a bit of a kerfuffle, really. Pace, they are going to start their official final lap time here at Bahrain. Let's go on board with the man himself, as the Aston Martin behind him as well. I believe it's Iceman does start that lap, so laps are starting to come in now and peel out onto track. Let's see what Pace can do into turns 1, 2 and 3. Could say very nicely done there. Declan makes his way back into the pit lane. Could be his first, I believe, pole of the season so far, and could be high hopes for him if he can keep it on pole. But let's see. Completely missed what Pace's Sector 1 was there. So, like I say, and I keep on saying, just to remind you guys how important it is, Sector 2 is where you're going to find all that lap time and all that crucial 10th or 2. 10-10, we can see Pace definitely on the limits there. And I think Iceman has actually backed off of their lap time, and they won't be improving. So they'll be staying in P13 just for now. I could be wrong. It could be Iceman making their way through down to turn 14 in Sector 3. That could be the Aston Martin there right in front of me. But they're 2 tenths up at the moment, Paces. But it isn't enough to get into the top 4. It could be enough to potentially get into the top 5. All it takes is one crucial mistake. That's all it takes. Turn 14 to turn 15. And that should be Pooch cruising up on behind. The Haas will cross the line. It's going to be P5 for the Haas driver himself. Pesh making their way through the final couple of corners right now. As Pooch does not improve, they stay P6. The Aston Martin does bail in to the pits. The Bird making their way through the final couple of corners. And it is Fake actually going to pole position at 26.807. So big blows for the Haas crew there. That is not what they want to be seeing. But P2 is still on the cusp here. And the Bird at 26.654. A very useful toe there from the Williams. They take pole. Declan now pushed down to P number 3. And Nando going very, very slowly there on the track, and is going to retire and go into the pit lane, and that'll be qualifying done. But look at that, the top 3. The Bird in a league of his own, Fake in a league of his own, and Declan 40 had pole, but 2 major improvements, and he drops under P3. So there you have it, folks. There you have it. The Bird in P1 at 26.654. P2 only a 10th away. And then Declan in P3. 3 tenths away. Math P number 4. 5 tenths away. Very close between P4 and P5, you could say. Pace in P6 within a second. And then you could say as well P7 within a second. And then P8 as well. But from P9 all the way down to the bottom, all over the place really, and not quite close to the top 8, you could say. The top 8 in a league of their own. 5 minutes and then we'll get into the break. Good evening, Mr. William McQueen. How are we doing? Now we play the lovely waiting game of 5 minutes. Terrible. What about you? Not too bad, not too bad. Just, you know, doing the usual. No, doing the usual, just chit-chat here and there. I'm just debating in my mind who's going to take the win. I'm just trying to think. I would love Fake to take the win because he looks quite racy and he is trying to claw his way back into the championship fight. Maybe Declan though, because Declan didn't have a great first start to the season, but could be a possibility, just maybe getting a win here today. Yeah. Declan take the win as well. Indeed, indeed. So we are going to get going at time 8:32 in the UK. That's the time we're going to be racing. You do have to rep McLaren everywhere you go. You do indeed. You do indeed, Bobby. We could actually have a chat because teammate wasn't really looking strong at all. They're quite far down the order in qualifying. Look here, shall we? Yeah, so the bird in the Ferrari a 126.654. You then got Fake in the McLaren a 126.807, and then you have Declan P3 a 127.035. So the gap does open from P3, obviously down bottom of the order. Top two quite close. Then the McLaren's teammate down in P10, about 1.3 off the pace. So yeah, looking quite interesting, but big point scoring opportunities today for all teams, but especially for one of them, which would be, gosh, I think the Mercedes crew, because obviously point system is a little bit different here. It's a combined constructors. So for example, you got Vija RB on 938, Mercedes on 933, and then Haas on 840, Martin on 834 in P4. So not looking too bad for Haas in P3. Mercedes and Vija RB, spicy battle there. So it depends really. Depends on where